Yo, what's going on, man? Today is December the 22nd, 2022. It's your boy Chris, and this is another edition of Cashed It with Chris, the NBA betting show slash podcast. Bright and early every single morning, man, trying to find some cash, even on these short slates. It's only a 2 game slate today, but we still trying to find some money, man. We always trying to find some money. So, real quick as always, hit the like button for me as you guys come in. It's greatly appreciated. Trying to help the channel grow. Show some support. And real quick, be a quick show today. It's only 2 games. So as far as a recap for yesterday, got off the losing snide. We had back-to-back 0-1 days to start the week. Yesterday was a lot better, a whole lot better. A lot of things that I said was going to happen came to fruition yesterday. The ones that I actually bet was the Milwaukee Bucks and the Cleveland Cavaliers under the 217. That did not cash, so we had a loser there. But the Cavs -2, they took care of business. I also added the Cavs first half. Talked about that on the Crispy Cap and NBA show. So that was a really, really good one. Just looking at the Cavs when they win home games, which I was expecting them to win yesterday, they typically win the first quarter, first half. They don't come out, too sloppy. They typically dominate from the beginning. So Cavs first half was a cash as well. I didn't get that one out. That was a personal play. But the Cavs -2 gave that out. My favorite play of the day yesterday. Nets first half team total over 61.5. Absolutely demolished the Golden State Warriors yesterday. I think they scored 24 points in like the first 4 minutes of the game. So that was never in question. And that was the easy cash. And then the Blazers first half minus the 1.5. Talked about the first quarter being a little janky at times, but Blazers came out with something early. Thunder just tough at home, man. Back-to-back home wins as a dog. So shout out to the Thunder for being able to come back and win the game, but shout out to the Blazers for covering the first half for us. So 3-1 day yesterday, nice little bounce back spot. Was kind of heavy on the Cavs last night too. So I always get my plays out as 1 unit plays, but the Cavs last night, I needed that one. I needed that one bad. And I know, we had a couple people yesterday in the chat. I'm not gonna mention any names. That said, Chris, you and your stats, the Bucks are gonna win this game. So shout out to whoever that person was. I'm not even sure who it was, but I remember reading the comments yesterday. But yeah, shout out to the chat too. Good morning, KC, Barksdale. Good morning, my brother. Zachariah, let's go. My guy Courtney in the building. What up, Court? So yeah, let's go, man. That next first half team total cash. Yeah, the full game cashed as well, man. Shout out to my guys, Mitch, and I know Ski was on it as well. So yeah, let's get into to the games for today. We do have some pending information as we always do. It's 2 games. The injury manipulation will be at an all-time high, like it typically always is in the NBA, especially on these smaller slates. The books are not going to let you know. The NBA, I feel like at this point some of it seems rigged at times, and they're not going to let you know who's in and who's out till sometimes the last possible second. So Spurs and the Pelicans game. This game was actually at 10 yesterday when I was doing the evening show yesterday, the Crispy Captain show. The spread in this one was at 10.5. I think it may even been a early 11 because a lot of books don't have lines until the night before. But since it was only 2 games, neither team had played the day before. I think the books had already kind of priced it. The line quickly dropped all the way down to 7.5 is what I saw that yesterday when we was actually doing the show. And a big part of the reason why is because, of course, Zion has been ruled out due to health and safety protocol, which should mean that Zion shouldn't be upgraded, throughout the day, right? Health and safety protocol. I mean, you gotta admit, you gotta miss at least one day, I would hope. Anyway, so you get the Spurs team coming in here. Let's see. You get the Spurs team coming in here. One of the worst teams in the NBA. They're 10-20 straight up. Only 5-8 on the road. 13-17 against the spread. 6-7 on the road against the spread. They've won 4 of their last 6. 4 of their last 10, and covered 4 of their last 10 as well. The Pelicans coming off the loss back-to-back losses. But they are 18-12 on the season, 12-4 at home. We know that they're one of the better home teams. They don't always cover the spread. They're just 9-7 at the crib. They're 6-4 straight up, and 5-5 against the spread. in their most recent 10 games. They are off of 4 straight losses. Went to Utah last week and lost both of those games, and then had the rematch with Phoenix and lost that game as well. Came home and the Bucks smacked them up as well, 128-119. Their defense is just not been there. It's taken a step back. They haven't covered any of those 4 games. So after having that long, span of games at home, the week before, I don't know if people remember that, they did smack up the Phoenix Suns twice during that time. The Detroit Pistons beat them as well. Denver, San Antonio, Toronto was taking care of teams. Today they probably get back on the winning side. I do think that them not having Zion is huge, because Brandon Ingram's gonna miss this game as well. Brandon Ingram's now's been out for over a month. So you got CJ McCollum, you got guys like Trey Murphy, you still got Jonas Valanciunas. You also have Larry Nance Jr. listed as questionable in this game. He missed the last game as well against the Milwaukee Bucks. On the opposite side, though, Romeo Langford is questionable. Josh Richardson's not on the injury report. He should play today. Jakob Poeltl, who always makes a big difference, especially when it comes to protecting the paint. The little bit of paint protection that he brings is a big addition. So he's probable for this game, but Keldon Johnson is questionable as well. This game's difficult, man, especially, this early. What I will say is that both of these teams do play tomorrow. Looking at the San Antonio Spurs, they travel to Orlando. So, soon as this game ends tonight, they will get on a flight and travel to Orlando. And then the Pelicans, they'll be leaving and going to OKC as well. So both of these teams, have some travel afterwards. And, when you're looking at that, 2 teams playing on the front end of a back-to-back, the under is 28-18, a 61% to the under. I think if the Pelicans win this game, it won't be because they score a bunch of points, being that they're without Brandon Ingram and they're without Zion Williamson. I think they probably lean on their defense to try to get this one done early. So I will be looking towards the under in this game. The total is at 226 right now. Conflicting things on the side, and I got to take a little bit of a deeper dive on this, but in 5 games so far this season without Brandon Ingram, the Pelicans are actually have a worse defensive rating without him. I thought it might have been better. With Zion in, the defensive rating is 110.2, but without Zion, and it's only 5 games, without him, they're actually a 118.4. So Zion's not the greatest defender, but their defense does struggle a little bit more without him. You look at their offensive rating, with them 115.7, without them 119.7. So for some reason they're scoring more points without Zion as well. To me, it just kind of feels like the San Antonio Spurs, they typically struggle and then they end up covering a few games, and they struggle and they end up covering a few games. But the Pelicans, they're desperate for a win. I wouldn't be looking to fade them in this spot, but I think that could be the 8 could be a tad bit too many points expecting them to win by. Especially when you take out a big offensive piece like Zion Williamson. So another way I think you look at this game in a way that I actually looked at it was player props, right? Don't even worry about the side. Don't even worry about the spread. I think a guy like Trey Murphy has to have a big game today. We already talked about, Larry Nance Jr. being questionable. Jonas Valanciunas is probably going, he gonna get his. CJ McCollum is going to be responsible for the offense, right? So I think his over 6.5 assists, if you can get CJ over 6.5 assists, if you can get him over 7.5 assists, I like both of those numbers. We know that the Spurs defensive rating is pretty bad on the road. And then on the opposite side, like I said, Trey Murphy should be able to step up. I remember, running Trey Murphy. I gave him out a few times earlier this year, and he cashed for us. His points, I actually locked him in last night. Official play for me, over 14.5 for Trey Murphy, minus 102. You just look at, like I said, you look at the offensive capabilities that Trey Murphy has. He's one of the guys that can actually fill it up on his team. I know his threes were sitting at 2.5. They were like plus 144. That's kind of scary because he should be able to knock down 3 threes with no problem. So I didn't take his threes, but I couldn't talk anybody off his threes. I did take his points at 14.5. I think you take him up to 20. 20 is plus 330. So I got a little sprinkle on his 20 points as well. And like I said, it's really who where do you get the points from? When you're missing Zion, who averages about 26, 27 points a game, I feel like you got to take it somewhere. So somebody has to account for those points. So Trey Murphy over 14 and a half points is what I played. Trey Murphy 20 points plus 330. Little sprinkle there, little quarter unit, I say. So that's how I'll be looking to play that game. Look to the under, Trey Murphy points, and CJ McCollum assists, because I do feel like while he's gonna have the ball a lot, I think he's gonna do playmaking for his team as well. So what y'all on in that game, man? Anybody got anything they looking at in that game already? Brazilian fan. What up, Justin? Lance, appreciate you, Chris. Nah, appreciate y'all, man. Like I said, hit the like button for me if you guys can. Fista Still said he likes CJ McCollum and Valanciunas points. Curtis said NBA props been terrible lately. Whoever betting unders gotta be rich. Yeah, man, because of the blowout. I mean, it's been a lot of blowouts. It's been a lot of blowouts, which is why I typically play player props just a tad bit lighter than I do spreads and sides. Also, I wanted to mention totals have not been. I feel like on the right side of totals, but my last 3 totals have all lost. And typically I'm pretty sharp on totals, man. Haven't won a total this week, and they go over by just a tad bit every single time. So I'm going to not lay off totals, because I do feel like they're still profitable. But I am going to reduce my unit size when I'm playing totals, just until we get more, data. Steve said he likes to sell over his points. I do think that if you take, I would look at Devin Vassell and see if I would watch Keldon Johnson throughout shoot around, because Keldon Johnson is listed as questionable in this one. If he doesn't go, then Devin Vassell is going to be the primary offensive guy. Him and Trey Jones are going to be the primary offensive guys for the backcourt anyway for the San Antonio Spurs offense. And I would want to get Devin Vassell points in. I would want to get him locked in before the game. Before you get the news on Keldon Johnson, because Keldon Johnson will influence Devin Vassell points. Also, interesting to note, I know that the Pelicans haven't been doing as well recently, but they have a lot of shifty, really good defenders. A lot of really shifty, good defenders on that team. When you talk about Dyson Daniels and you talk about Herb Jones, you talk about Jose Alvarado. I think they have 3 of the top 5 guys when it comes to steals in their second year in the NBA, is what I want to say. So, like I said, 4-game losing streak, you definitely going to want to play defense. You also got a game tomorrow. One of the reasons I was looking towards the under, didn't play the under, but I probably will lock it in at 226, especially if Keldon Johnson's not a go in this one. That does limit, what San Antonio brings on the offensive end. Lance said total lines are razor sharp. Yeah, they are, man. They are really, really sharp. I feel like most of the time the books give you about a point, about 2 to 3 points towards the under. And, some reason a free throw gets hit, or, something happens that's abnormal, and it can go over. So I do feel like the books are typically telling you, they're baiting you towards taking the under. We saw it yesterday, the Chicago Bulls, right? I know nobody wanted to be on Chicago. I didn't play them, but when I came on the show yesterday, I talked about, the line. Atlanta they're 1-5 and 1, ATS at the crib. Couldn't take them yesterday. I couldn't lay the points with them. I don't care that they were more rested. I don't care that they were at home. And we see the Bulls win that game outright yesterday. So the books are, they almost daring you to take the dog at times. Justin said, I usually bet more props over, but done doing that when the spread is 7 or higher. Blowouts been killing. Perfect nights. Yeah, and that's a fact. And one of the reasons why I like, why I like Trey Murphy in this game is because because if the spread indicates that it could be a blowout on the San Antonio side, I'm sorry, on the Pelican side, of course. If the Spurs do get blown out, I think Trey Murphy absolutely contributes to that, right? Like I said, somebody's got to score some of those points for Zion, not accounting for Zion not being there, which is why I like Trey Murphy. Like I said, I played his points at 14.5, and I also played I played him up to 20. I played him up to 20 in that spot. San Antonio defense mixed with mixed with having to account for Zion points. So that's what I got for you guys there. Like I said, hit the like button for me if you guys can. If you take totals, it would be a live bet. If I take totals, it'd be a live bet. I love live betting totals as well, Steve. A lot of money being made live betting totals. I live bet a few totals last night and was profitable for sure, especially in the late game last night. The Charlotte Hornets and the who did they play? They played the Clippers. The Charlotte Hornets and the Clippers. I was live betting that game. So moving on, let's get to the next game real quick because somehow it's 15 minutes. I only covered one game. The Wizards and the Jazz, man. I still got a little work to do in this one, but what I will say on this one is that the total's going up. It opened at, let me get the banners back. I saw it open at 7 last night. It's come down to 6.5 in favor of money coming in on the Washington Wizards in this one. Total 229, going up to 230 at most spots. This Wizards team, getting they're a terrible team. They're 12 and 20 straight up. Don't have a really good ATS record. A lot of guys in and out of the lineup. Bradley Beal with the hamstring injury just came back for 2 games, kind of getting reestablished. Porzingis has been in and out of the lineup. They're only 7-8-2 ATS on the road, 1-9 their last 10, 3-7 against the spread in their last 10. And they got smacked. They actually won against the Phoenix Suns the other day to get off the losing snide and win their first game in quite a while. And now you get them. This will not. So off 1 day's rest, they had 1 day of rest between playing Phoenix and the Lakers as well. But this is the first night of a back-to-back for them as well, right? The Wizards go to Sacramento. They probably get thrashed tomorrow. But I think this is a game where they could potentially keep this one close. And it depends, right? Because we do know that Kelly Olynyk has already been ruled out. Colin Sexton's upgraded to questionable. He might make his return today. Rudy Hachimura will be available to play after missing some time in this one. He will be available to play in this one after missing some time recently. And Porzingis is questionable. But, really, really big news there, especially if you're looking towards a total or you're looking towards the Wizards to kind of be able to keep this one close, in my estimation anyway. This Jazz team, 3-game road trip. They lost the first 2 to the Bucks into the Cavaliers, but did smack Detroit up pretty handedly in the second half of that game 2 nights ago, and now they're traveling back home. So one thing I looked at was, we talk about these teams on these mini road trips or these big road trips and coming back home, or they've been playing at home and having to go away. One of the things I looked at was teams are 5-7 so far against the spread when their site streak is 3 or more, and then they have to come back and they have to win the game by at least 4 points. So that would indicate that the Wizards may be the right side in this one. The Jazz are also just 1-3 against the spread when they're playing against the Eastern Conference at home. For some reason, they play against the Western Conference a lot better. We know that they're a better home team than they are a road team. They're also just 3-4 traveling from away to home. So when their last game was on the road, they have to come back home. They're only 3-4 against the spread there as well. I think it's extremely difficult to lay points with the Washington to take points with the Washington Wizards. But I feel like it's the right play in this one. I do feel like it's the right play. The Wizards typically play the Jazz pretty tough. They already beat the Utah Jazz earlier this season in Washington. They beat them 121-112. Last year they beat them as well, dating back all the way back to last year. So the Wizards are 2-0 straight up and against the spread, against this team recently. So I don't know. Sometimes teams just got your number, man. I got to, I want to wait on the Porzingis news, but I'll probably be catching the points with the Wizards. I know nobody probably wants to hear that, but, like I said, I just don't like taking these teams coming back home off the West Coast, off any kind of trip, that's extended. So that's what I'd be looking at. Looking at matchup wise, I don't think that, the Jazz have anybody that can stop Bradley Beal. The problem with Bradley Beal, in my estimation, is how aggressive is he going to be, right? We see games where Bradley Beal goes into halftime and he has like 6 points. He picks it up and he finishes with like 25, right? So to me, that's too much to account for. I can't account for Bradley Beal's motivation, right? Like I said, the Wizards also play tomorrow in Sacramento, right? So do they save some for tonight? If that's the case, the Jazz can come out here and absolutely thrash them too, right? That's also, in play as well. So I feel like I just don't got the greatest read on this game, so I'm not gonna give out anything official in this one. But that's just how I'm kind of looking at the game. We know that the Wizards don't play any defense, so guys like Lauri Markkanen, who got hot in that Detroit game, could kind of keep it going today. We know that they shoot a lot of threes, so I'll be looking for Jordan Clarkson, to play well against this Washington Wizards team who really can't stop guards. We saw, guards just kind of eat the Washington Wizards up. They also can't stop big men either, but the Jazz don't really have a guy that's going to dominate the paint as far as, being able to score. I think the Jazz give up, some of the most. They're one of the teams that give up the most points in the NBA as far as points in the paint. So, I think it's a difficult game, man. If I had to take a side, I'd take the Wizards plus the points. But with them having, being on the second night of a back-to-back, if the game gets, a little bit close to being out of reach, I think it could be a blowout too. So that's what I got for you guys. No official play in that one. Also waiting on player props in that one. May fire off a player prop in that one. But going back to the Spurs and the Pelicans game, strong lean towards the under 226. Also like CJ McCollum over 6.5 and over 7.5 assists. No matter where your book has that at, because I think he does a lot of the facilitating. But like I said, I locked in Trey Murphy over 14.5 points, minus 102. And I also played Trey Murphy up to 20 points at a plus 330. So that's what I'm looking at today. Let me know what you guys are looking at, man. Let's see what y'all said in the chat before I get up out of here. It's a short day. It's a short slate today, so I'll look at the comments real quick. Chris, why do you think there's so many blowouts? Honestly, I think it's just I don't know how to quantify it, at all, Steve. I think the blowouts fall in different fashions. Sometimes you get teams that's extremely motivated and hungry. I think sometimes the ref influence it because they're not giving the other team's call, and you see that all the calls going towards one team. I think some teams are really motivated to come out and play hard on certain nights, and certain teams aren't. It's an 82 game season, so you always you never want to catch that falling knife and be on a team that's just doesn't bring it on that night. When they don't play up to what their potential is, it could be extremely frustrating. I was on the wrong side of that the other day, with the Memphis Grizzlies. That they never had a chance against the Denver Nuggets. Like, this is the best team in the Western Conference. I thought their defense would play a lot better. Denver's defense rated 27th, and they absolutely looked great on the defensive end. Memphis just never had a chance in that game. So I was on the wrong side of that one. Like I said, I think it's a motivational thing. Also, it feels like a lot of the blowouts are coming by the home team. I know that the Boston Celtics got thrashed last night. They ended up coming back, but the Indiana Pacers blew them out at home, which was very, very interesting. But I don't know, Steve. I think it's a really interesting thing to kind of quantify, though. I would be looking for more data on that. JR said, "Do you use FanDuel? If so, do you know what time the initial lines open?" So, JR, I use a bunch of books, man. I actually got a link. If you look at the link in my Twitter page, you could, if you're looking for a sports book, you can download any of those sports books. I'm in Virginia, so I got access to pretty much every sports book, and I do a lot of line shopping. So FanDuel is a sports book that I use, but I'm not just using FanDuel. Marketing points, the man is shooting like he's possessed. Last couple games, they've been feeding him. Yeah, I couldn't talk anybody off marketing points at all. Lance says Wizards hang around. What picks I miss on Spurs and Pelicans? I'm on Trey Murphy over 14.5 points. I think he steps up without Zion in there today. Like I said, lean toward, and I took his 20 points as well. Sprinkle there. Lean towards Zion without Zion out. Lean towards the under. With both of these teams having to play again tomorrow, the under is 28-18, which is 61%. So that's a 61% query. Let's see. Works. You take Sacramento tonight as soon as the line comes out versus the Wizards. As long as no injuries, I think so, because that line is only going to move towards towards Sacramento. And I also think it's important when I'm looking at those games and I want to put in an early bet. I think it's important to watch how many minutes they play. If the Wizards game goes down to the wire tonight, I think you take Sacramento tomorrow, being a more rested team at home, just kind of chilling. Sacramento's off today, so I would be looking toward that line's only gonna move, towards Sacramento tomorrow. It won't move towards the Wizards. Frank said motivation storyline, City schedule, injuries. I love all of those, Frank. That's how you you figure out the blowouts for sure. Motivation first and foremost, as always, too. What up, Fremont? Appreciate you being here, my brother. I'm out here just chopping it up. 25 minutes in the books and on 2 games. Damian said, I'm taking Vassell 25 and a win at plus 780 on FanDuel. He has 25 and 26 in both meetings and no Ingram or Zion. Spurs full strength. Okay, I wouldn't say full strength. I mean, if you like Vassell, then you gotta look at it like that. But they are without, Keldon Johnson's listed as doubtful. Romeo Langford's questionable. Josh Richardson also on the injury report. We know, not on the injury report. We know he can kind of fill it up. So couldn't talk you off of it though, Dan. If that's how you feeling, do your thing, my brother. Let's see. Fremont said, I think I seen this story before with Zion and Ingram out. Maybe they blow the Spurs out. They have. If you go back and look at I hadn't talked about that, but the Pelicans have been extremely dominant of the San Antonio Spurs with or without the guys in. So, Brandon Ingram didn't play in those games. I think CJ McCollum missed one of those games, and they just had Zion. They still smacked them up. So, like I said, both teams on the back-to-back. Wouldn't surprise me if this game's a blowout. Wouldn't surprise me at all because Pop might rest the guys, being that they got to travel to Orlando tomorrow. Sabonis over assists is always a good look. Man, dude, absolutely killing it right now. Triple-double last night. Crushed his assist line. I think they had it at 6.5. He finished it with like 11. Rebounds, same thing. Absolutely destroyed my Lakers, man. But we're not talking about them. Best of luck to you guys today, man. I always, finish the show the same way. None of this is financial consultation. It's all free game. It's logic. It's theory, query, SDQL. I do a lot of this so that you guys don't, try to give you different angles to hopefully make you a sharper, better, and more profitable long term. That's the reason for the podcast. Hit the like button for me if you guys can. Retweet if if you're looking at it on Twitter. And then also check out the podcast, man. I always talk about it. I don't know how many of you guys actually do, but check out the podcast. Just go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Search, Cash Did with Chris. You can actually search Crispy Captain too. 2 P's, 2 N's though. And shoot me a good review over there on the podcast as well, man. Every single day I'm doing these, trying to bring you guys the early information. So that's what I got for you guys, man. 27 minutes in the books. Best of luck to you guys tonight. Short slate. We got a lot of games tomorrow. So bet with your head, not over it, man. Best of luck today on your action.